as worshippers were able to return. The city's sole mosque in the student quarter was temporarily closed following the Christchurch tragedy, but local Muslims were keen to get the doors reopened once safety concerns had been addressed.
You being here represents 100 people for each of you who have outpouring of your love and care for us as community.
Representatives from the university, local Runanga and the wider community joining together to demonstrate their support and compassion.
I think that it's really important to show our Muslim community, our brothers and sisters, that we care and that we stand as one.
And it shows how pretty awesome we are actually, that we're not going to be governed by these actions.
Mosque members thanking Dunedinites for their outpouring. Jack Gooselink, Newshouse.
A former New Zealand soldier says he visited the Dunedin Gun Club the alleged shooter Brenton Tarrant belonged to back in 2017, and he says it raised alarm bells for him. Pete Bridle says he took his concerns to Dunedin police shortly afterwards. Now, he spoke with Mike Wesley-Smith, and Mike joins me now. Mike, exactly what concerns were raised by the gun club with Mike Bridle?
Well, I came across Pete on Facebook. He had posted a video setting out his concerns, and when I last checked, it had been seen almost 200,000 times. Basically, in summary, he had concerns about what he said were the ethos and the culture of the club, and here's what he said in more detail.
The fact that one guy was ranting and raving to me about how the military will be deployed on the streets of Dunedin very soon because of the terror attacks, because so many Muslims are coming here, and there were just attitudes that I strongly feel don't go with semi-automatic firearms.
Okay, Mike, what's the Bruce Rifle Club said in response to that?
Well, look, yeah, the Bruce Rifle Club's Vice President, Scott Williams, has come out and said he strongly emphatically denies the claims that Pete has made about the club. He says there was no indication to any of the other members there that Brenton Tarrant would go on to do what he's alleged to have done, and that they feel as shocked and as stunned as anybody else. So there's an emphatic denial from them. They're continuing to work with the police, and I think that process means that they're kind of restricted in what more they can further say about his claims.
Have police said anything about this today?
Yeah, so the police have said their initial inquiries cannot find any record of Pete's complaint. I mean, he's pointed to some of his Facebook posts at the time, back in 2017, where he says making a complaint. They're obviously continuing to look into that. They've obviously been making some inquiries with the club, and so I'm sure we'll learn more about what they knew and when they knew it.
You've also spoken to a former police intelligence officer. What did he have to say about our gun control laws?
Yeah, so that was Lance Burdett, who many of the viewers might know was one of the lead police officers working on the Napier siege from 10 years ago, where Jan Moliner killed a police officer. And Lance said in the coroner's inquest that followed that killing, the coroner made a recommendation that, look, these assault weapons need to be properly tracked. And in Lance's view, that hasn't been remedied all these years later, and that's something I've heard from a number of people within the police community particularly, that these assault weapons are just not registered, and whilst the majority of people do, accord with the law, that's a massive loophole, and I'm sure will be a focus of the government's reform in this area.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mike Wesley-Smith. Well, just a reminder to anyone who needs mental health support that it is available for you. The Mental Health Foundation has a line you can either free call or text anytime, day or night. The number is 1737. Repeating that number, it's 1737. Well, let's go back to Christchurch, and Mike McRoberts and Melissa Chan Green are at the Botanic Gardens, where a floral tribute to the victims continues to grow. Mike and Mel.
Yes, not just the floral tribute, but also the numbers who are gathering here. We've just had a big number of people coming through, not far from us. Mel, you've gone down to see who they are?
Yes, they're from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They're here with some white balloons that they're attaching to the fence line along here. This line of floral tributes really is just growing by the minute, isn't it? And along with that, there are starting to be some tents set up alongside opposite from international media all around the world. There was obviously a lot that came in on Friday and over the weekend, but we really are seeing those numbers grow. I was at the Transitional Cathedral today, there were around 15 cameras there that were from all around the world, and of course a lot of them haven't been here since the earthquake, so they were asking about the earthquake and how the city is as well as what they're now dealing with.
So I guess that just shows you the global impact that this story has had, and I think CNN has just arrived with a big trailer load of gear and they were unpacking, but this is actually becoming one of the more defining images, I guess, of this terrible tragedy. These flowers and the messages, the outpouring of support and unity from the people of Christchurch is really something to behold.
I have to say, it reminds me of 2011. I was in Norway for the Breivik attacks there, and there were lots of floral tributes there, and they were gathering outside a church, and I just thought at the time, when I returned to New Zealand, I'll never report on anything like this. And then there were the attacks in Paris, and coming back here, it's just unimaginable that we would ever be in this situation. But in saying that, there are a lot of communities that are more vulnerable to hate speech, and I think they're really starting to feel kind of some anger about that now. So they really, I think this was an extreme example, but I think it's really starting a conversation about hate speech and what is acceptable and what is not.
Yeah, amongst the messages behind us, as I said, ones of support and unity, but there are just as many apologies, which is incredible, really. People are just so sorry that this has happened and in their city.
Yeah, and as we said earlier, there was a man here who just spontaneously gave a speech on behalf of the Muslim community about how they would like to be treated in the future, I guess, and I don't think they're saying that they have been treated badly. They feel they have been safe, and the same with the Sikh community group that I visited today. But I think they just want to see some learnings from this. You can hear the police helicopters above us too, and actually that was all night long, and there were some really concerned residents, but I understand it is just part of the continuing security surveillance.
The police presence has been very strong indeed, and it's likely to continue tomorrow with school starting back. We've heard that. So, yeah, quite an increased police presence around here. And I think that's helping the people here, isn't it? I mean, they like the fact that police are being very vigilant.
They feel safe because there are these large-scale events that have been in the planning that police are saying, look, for now it's not appropriate. There will at some point be those gatherings, and I guess there will also be some kinds of events, whether it's one or whether it's several, to mark the deaths of these individuals, and we'll learn more about those people soon as well.
Yes, we'll be back with you for News Hub Live at 6 very soon.
Thank you very much, Mike and Melissa, live there from the Christchurch Botanic Gardens. Well, the alleged gunman was born and raised in the New South Wales town of Grafton. Channel 7's Joel Dry reports on the reaction of locals to the news that one of their own is now charged with one of the worst massacres in modern times.
In Grafton in the early 90s, Brenton Tarrant had a childhood like so many other Australians. The family name is well known around here.
How big is the family?
Oh, real big, yeah. They even named a bridge after one of them. I used to go to school for Tarrant. In the class, he grew a nice road.
The Tarrants are a little bit gambly, and that's a shame that their name's going to be spaced out.
It's been very emotional for the town, and I think that anyone that knew him or knows him is shocked.
Brenton's mother, Sharon, lives not far from where she raised her son and daughter, Lauren, in this weatherboard house on Morrison Street.
I can advise you that family members are assisting us.
The family did approach New South Wales Police after the incident was on TV.
Tarrant wasn't known to New South Wales Police for anything more than a traffic ticket. He went to the local high school but admitted he had little interest in education, barely achieving a passing grade. Brenton never went to university. Instead, he worked at a gym where he trained kids for free. In 2010, his father Rodney died of cancer, his obituary calling him a dedicated family man and competitive athlete. His death began Tarrant's 7-year trip around the world. He visited Europe, Asia and Pakistan in October last year. Then he appeared in this photo in North Korea.
He appears to have spent very little time in Australia in the last 4 years, but in saying that, We will conduct search warrants on a number of different places.
The people of Grafton are hurting, fearing that they'll be forever linked to one of the worst mass shootings in recent memory. A vigil will be held here at the Cathedral on Monday night to allow residents to grieve and honour the victims.
Monday night, big deal.
Good evening. After 2 painful days of waiting, the bodies of the dead will now be released to their families tonight.
The death toll from the Christchurch terror attack rose by 1 today to 50 after another body was found at the Al Noor Mosque. Families have been pleading with authorities to have the bodies released so they can bury them in accordance with Muslim tradition.
The graves are already being dug at a cemetery here in Christchurch. The alleged gunman Brenton Tarrant is now being held in a specialist security facility. There will be increased police presence as children return to school tomorrow.
A floral tribute is growing here at the Botanic Gardens in Christchurch, where we are tonight, and vigils are being held in cities around the country.
Since flowers are flying off the shelves in florist shops, guns, ammunition and magazines are flying off the shelves in gun shops as enthusiasts react to the government's plans to tighten gun laws.
Oh, for crying out
Time has elapsed since Friday's massacre. The names, faces and stories of some of the Muslim worshippers slain at the mosque have started to emerge. These are just some of those believed to have died in the attack.
The families of the victims are facing the harrowing task of preparing for funerals.
National correspondent Patrick Gower has been speaking with them. Patrick.
Yes, I am at the cemetery now, and distressing to see the amount of work going on behind me to get these graves ready so that the victims can be buried as quickly as possible according to Islamic custom. Extremely distressing also today to continue to talk to those families, including the family of the child that was killed.
Patrick, thank you.
A senior leader at the Dean's As Mosque, who lost his wife in the terror attack, says he has forgiven the shooter.
It's an extraordinary gesture to the man who killed so many of his friends. Thomas Mead is outside Hagley College where families are gathering. And Thomas, this is a gesture the man says his wife would have wanted.
That's right. Good evening, Mike. Many people will remember Farid Ahmed from our initial coverage. We first met him in the minutes after that terrible massacre, and at that time he had not heard of the fate of his wife, and he has since received some terrible news. This is the story of Husma Ahmed.
To have a memory of 3 of us.
Gathering to remember a woman loved by all who met and knew her. Husna Ahmed ran classes for children at the mosque while her husband gave sermons.
She was probably more open than me. She could reach anyone. She was magnetic.
On Friday, their peaceful life came shattering down as a shooter tore through the mosque without served for 20 years.
What she did when the shooting started, she organized the ladies and children to go out. She was leading them.
The couple in separate rooms.
I thought I was not going to come up. And I was prepared. I was prepared to die. And that's why I just, in a moment, I just thought, no point of panicking. I better be calm and ready.
Farid Ahmed, who uses a wheelchair, couldn't flee.
She was coming back home. And that is the time. Just, when she was coming towards the gate, that is the time. She was shot.
On Friday outside on the cordon, in the hours following the terrorist attack, Farid spoke to News Hub, hoping his wife was okay.
I don't know where my wife is. She was in the ladies' room.
The news, the worst he could imagine. She lost her life trying to save him. Tonight, people are paying their respects. Those who knew her loved her, remembering a woman renowned for kindness of her own.
And I just sit here for a year, and she was always sharing.
And despite the terrible act of hatred, Farid Ahmed has found a way to forgive the shooter.
I love him, to be honest. I think probably he went through some trauma in his life. Probably he was not loved. I don't hate him at all. I don't hate him at all. Not at all.
You're just doing that for the camera.
Forgiveness, Fareed says, is what his wife Husma would have wanted.
She's brave. And she gave her life to him.
Husma Ahmed, kind to the very end.
Now, Mike, ever since this terrible tragedy, he has been an enormous support to the people in his community. Despite breaking the most terrible, awful news to his own 15-year-old daughter, he has spent the afternoon having that conversation again and again at the Haggard College here behind me on behalf of those who feel they do not have the strength to tell their family and friends what has taken place. Some last words that he wanted all of us to think about, that if someone does bad to you, make sure you do good to them. Mike.
Yeah.
Thomas, thank you.
We're going to return now to Patrick's story about the families of the victims who faced the harrowing task of preparing for the funerals.
National correspondent Patrick Gower has this report.
Ard Ibrahim, a 3-year-old boy, an innocent child, gunned down, shot, killed in his place of worship. You have lost your younger brother.
Yeah, I have, yeah. You probably saw it on the social media. He was about 3 years old. Yeah.
Your brother was 3 years old.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
A kid being looked after by his big brother Abdi. You took him to prayer?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And what happened?
Just everything was just going too fast, and I just thought it was fireworks, and everyone's running, and just started to run and just lost the boy.
Left him behind. Left him behind.
And your brother's name was?
Ard Ibrahim. Yeah.
Ard Ibrahim, lost in the madness. I don't know what to say to you, but I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm sorry.
The New Zealand and the whole world's been supporting, and we appreciate all the love and support.
One of 50 killed, the Hamilton-born son of Somali immigrants who came here in the early 1990s. He is believed to be the youngest of the dead, just helpless in the line of the gunman fire. There are, of course, no words. There is an unforgettable fact. There are survivors too. Arlen Baragna, 4 years old, shot in critical condition in Starship Hospital. His father, Waziam, shot too. They are from Jordan. Friend Jacob Dooley says they came here for a better future. And if anyone can pull through, it's them.
Alan is a beautiful girl, full of energy. She's a little fighter.
For those that did not survive burial, volunteers preparing flowers. Islamic custom means that bodies are washed by their friends, then wrapped in a white sheet to symbolise taking nothing from the world. This site being prepared at Memorial Cemetery. The custom means the bodies will be buried but with no coffin, then wood will be placed on top of the earth over the bodies. Muslim clerics like Sheikh Amjad Ali here to help.
Each individual will be religiously washed and made
graves for 50. Their bodies made pure, including a boy called
Okay. New Palm Springs Hold enthusiasts are buying up large before any proposed government ban on semi-automatics may come into effect.
Gun shop owners are reporting that they are absolutely flat out selling guns and ammunition. Well, the owner of Gun City, one of New Zealand's biggest gun chains, wouldn't talk to us today. He's been advised he must speak to police first. Jill Lynch has the story.
The people in here,
Gun City claims it's the world's largest gun shop. News Hub visited stores across the country today. No one wanted to talk to us on
turn around actually, really says it does everything. Just turn around and say, they get paid more than us. They should be working harder.
His wife told us
because they do. They get paid more than you.
Until he's spoken with
police.
Do you know that any of the
they should be working
shooting
harder
guns
than us.
were bought at Gun
That's what
City?
you say to them.
We were told we'd
that
have
he'll
to
never
wait
come
for
back
announcements
again.
that Tibble plans to
He
hold
won't,
a
you
press
say
conference
that to
tomorrow.
them.
Yesterday, News Hub obtained a photo of what appeared to be a near-new box for a Ruger AR-556, a semi-automatic, dumped near the Dean's Ave Mosque. They are for sale today on the Gun City website at a discounted price.
University of Otago researchers are calling for all sales and imports of semi-automatics to be stopped immediately until the government decides what it will change.
Well, what
This isn't going to stop it.
USA in situations like this has been that people rush out to buy more guns because they think they might get taken off the market.
People here are reporting a spike in gun sales too. Mike Loader runs a Kiwi pro-gun blog. On Facebook he posted today, "How are sales? Jacinda may be Salesman of the Year." Steve Burley, a gun shop owner from Paraparaumu, said he was flat out selling semi-autos, magazines and ammo. We called Burley too. He said he was too flat out selling guns to talk to us. Mike Loader is vehemently opposed to a semi-automatics ban. He says the government has had a knee-jerk response.
What I'd like to see happen is we wait, first of all, for the bodies to go in the ground. I think would be dignified. And then we actually have something called an inquiry where we look into what actually happened.
But Philip Alford, who studies gun laws, says New Zealand has some of the most lax laws in the world.
The shooter could not have got his hands on these weapons in Australia.
Rubbish.
Should he go to New Zealand? Because New Zealand had the loopholes that allowed him to get those firearms.
The government is moving at incredible pace to get these laws tightened. Policy is being drafted as we speak to put in front of Cabinet tomorrow at their first meeting since the attack.
They need to change, regardless of what activity may or may not have happened with gun retailers. They will change.
An urgent response to a horrific crime. Jenna Lynch, News Hub.
The Prime Minister is considering legal options to deport Brenton Tarrant, but says the alleged gunman will face justice in New Zealand.
Jacinda Ardern confirmed her office received his so-called manifesto minutes before the attack. Political editor Tova O'Brien reports.
He's going to get deported.
The Prime Minister comforting a community in mourning. Confronting anguish at Wellington's Kilburnie Mosque. And adding flowers to the mounting tribute.
Oh, Bloody Mary.
Jacinda Ardern visited the mosque after receiving a briefing from her top officials and considering options to kick Brenton Tarrant out of New Zealand.
In the cases we have seen deportation, it's generally at the conclusion of sentence. It's been served.
And Tarrant's not going
unless the
anywhere
French are
until
involved.
he faces justice here.
Absolutely. Charges and the trial itself will happen in New Zealand. As for the remainder, I'm seeking advice. He will certainly face the justice system of New Zealand.
The Prime Minister confirmed hers was one of 70 email addresses sent a manifesto from the alleged gunman 9 minutes before the attack took place.
Had it provided details that could have been acted on immediately, it would have been. But there unfortunately were no such details in that email.
But there are reports of some details about the locations of the attacks in the manifesto itself.
By the time any of that emails and details could have been passed on, they were already receiving those 1-1 calls and responding. And someone was then taken into custody within 36 minutes.
And this
How could they get to two mosques in 36 minutes?
Suspending the police response time.
It has to be 36 minutes from the second one.
Armed police staff were on the scene.
Alongside the act of terror, a furthest attack, sending that manifesto, information hidden in deranged ideology that arrived too late. And here at Parliament, things will look very different for the start of the sitting week. It will essentially be a politics-free zone. Tuesday, the first day of the sitting week, the House will sit, but only to hear tributes to those who lost their lives or lost loved ones in the attacks. And then it will rise, it will adjourn, and it's not yet decided what will happen for the rest of the week, but there is a sense that it's a good time to get back to the business of Parliament, get back to business as usual to show that we, as a country, have not been cowed by this attack. National commemorative services are also now being arranged.
Tova, thank you. A perfect breeding ground for a mass shooter. That's how one former Kiwi soldier has described the Dunedin Rifle Club attended by Brenton Tarrant.
Pete Bridle visited the Bruce Rifle Club in 2017 and was so disturbed with the behaviour of some of its members, he laid a complaint with police.
He says his concerns were dismissed outright by police. Club officials strongly deny claims their facility helped create an alleged murderer. Here's Mike Wesley-Smith.
Bruce Rifle Club was quiet today. Club officials stunned and feeling betrayed. One of their members, Brenton Tarrant, allegedly committed mass murder. But former soldier Pete Bridle says it was his experience at the club back in 2017 that shocked him.
The ethos within the club concerned me. It was like being at a 1980s NRA meeting. It was the perfect breeding place for this kind of thing. There were very strong attitudes towards immigration of Muslims being a very, very bad thing for New Zealand.
He cannot be certain he ever met Brenton Tarrant at the club.
He may have been there, but everyone there concerned me.
On Facebook, shortly after his visit, Pete posted about his concerns, writing, "I was literally scared. So scared, he went to police."
I went to the arms officer, I laid out my concerns, and I was told that there are a bunch of silly old duffers down those ways. Don't worry about them. It's all good.
Police told News Hub initial inquiries show no record of a complaint being laid, but Pete believes other people contacted police about the club. In a statement, Bruce Rifle Club Vice President Scott Williams says he strongly denies Pete Bridle's claims. He says Brenton Tarrant seemed like a normal person and never gave anyone any reason to think he would carry out an attack like the one alleged. He says the club continues to work with police in their inquiries. Former police intelligence officer Lance Burdett says if police did receive credible complaints about the club, it would be standard practice to look into its members.
I would have expected that to have happened, absolutely. If it hasn't happened, then that might have been an error.
But he cautions how simple it can be to join the dots after an incident.
Very easy to find the path after it because you work from the end to the beginning. It's a balance between people's rights and their freedom of movement and assembly and association with the public safety.
For Pete Bridle, like many New Zealanders, the events of March 15th, 2019 will never leave him.
I did all I could. I think a lot of people did all that they could, and it wasn't enough. And I'm going to feel shit for the rest of my life. And I can tell you right now, I'll never own, or for that matter, even pick up another semi-automatic rifle.
And as for the Bruce Rifle Club, after his first experience there caused him so much concern, Pete has never been back. Mike Wesley-Smith, News Hub.
Down Dunedin, South Dunedin.
The outpouring of support from Cantabrians has just been remarkable.
I've been there before.
Yes, no, we keep seeing it first hand here too at the Botanic Gardens where
I've been to that gun club.
Keep coming.
There are so many flowers and messages here now, they almost blend into one. Maybe that's the point. You've been writing this note.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what it says?
I'm sorry your life had to end this way.
This is a city desperate to right wrongs, to comfort and heal.
People of Christchurch are in grief, and it's just, for me to come here today was just my way of saying Salam Alaikum to the Muslim community.
There is so much love here, it can be easy to forget the hatred it came from.
The word happy is a weird word to use, but I'm so happy that the people of Christchurch are coming together at this time.
And then there are the reminders. A young football coach, one of those killed. His team left their ball here. Young and old, their message is the same.
It's just awful. No one deserves this. It's heartbreaking.
So tea, coffee, or a hug?
Exactly.
Have you had many people take you up on your offer?
Quite a few, actually, yeah.
And when words aren't enough, there are arms to embrace. Did you know them, or just...
I don't know. I just feel for them. They don't deserve to have hate inflicted upon them. You look like you're struggling at the moment too. Can I give you a hug?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're learning more about those believed to have been killed in the attacks as family and friends pay tribute to them.
Among them was Apa Eliana, Kuwaiti-born New Zealand futsal player. He was the goalkeeper for the Canterbury national futsal teams and the CEO and co-founder of consultancy company LWA Solutions. Well, this is Imran Khan, formerly known as Imran Bai. He was the owner of the popular Indian Grill takeaway in Christchurch. He was 47. And Anthi Alibaba was 25. She was pursuing a master's in agribusiness from Lincoln University and leaves behind her husband.
So some tragic stories are emerging, but some families and friends are still grappling with a terrible uncertainty.
They still don't know what has happened to their loved ones. Annabelle Tukia has just been at a police news conference. And Annabelle, what message did they offer to the families?
Well, in the last hour, police did hold a press conference in the hopes of trying to reassure the families that they are moving as fast as they possibly can on this identification process.
Jakaria Viam has been missing since Friday when he went to prayers at the Deans Avenue Mosque. This afternoon, his distraught friends took to standing outside Christchurch Hospital, clutching colour-printed photographs of the 30-year-old, hoping someone might have some answers.
He has been missing since the incident.
We're trying to find, that is he alive or died?
His wife and family are still in Bangladesh. The 30-year-old engineer regularly attended the mosque, and they say he was definitely there on Friday. His car is still parked outside, but his name is not on a list of known victims given by police to the families.
For us, he's still missing because we got the list, but according to the list, he's not there, and he's not in the hospital as well. So where he is, so don't know.
The victims have been removed from both shooting scenes, police working as fast as they can to formally identify each person.
Today our focus continues to be the task of returning all the victims to their loved ones. This is our priority, and we are doing everything possible to get this done as quickly as possible.
It's little comfort to Viam's friends who haven't eaten and barely slept since events unfolded on Friday.
Don't you think we suffered enough? Don't you think Friday was enough for us? So now we have to wait.
2 other Bangladesh citizens have already been identified as casualties from Friday's attack. Johnny Islam says it's been a torturously painful wait for their families back home.
They want their loved one back to home. So they just want to see them.
For the friends of Jakaria Viam, they refuse to let go of his photos, holding out in the hope that they'll get answers on their missing friend.
There is 90 people working on this identification process tonight, and police say they hope tonight to return the first body to a family. But as far as how long this whole process will take, they're not prepared to give a time frame.
Annabelle, thank you.
Among those incredible stories of survival is Mustafa Bostas, who only escaped the Deans Ave Mosque when he realised the gunman was reloading his weapons.
As he fled, he tried to save a child. Holly Karen reports.
They gave me some antibiotics also.
Mustafa Bostas sharing his story.
We just heard noises like boom, boom, and I thought it was an earthquake.
It was a gunman opening fire on those deep in prayer and completely defenceless.
I just tried to run away. But then I just put my head on the ground and just like real quiet and sit there on the bed. And then when I got shot, I just kept calm and stayed where I was.
His opportunity to survive only coming when the gunman stopped to reload his ammunition.
When I heard the shots coming from outside, that's when I looked up and this guy was beside me. He started running away, so I ran away as well. And I just break the window beside me, my hand.
He then spotted an injured young boy, trying in vain to save his life.
I just had to give him a step down, but it didn't work. So I just closed his eye and kept running.
Those moments still haunting him.
I just seen him like that, his eyes open, looking up. It's just horrible.
Mustafa was the last person taken to hospital, suffering gunshot wounds to his leg and liver damage from the bullet fragments.
I remember being sick since then, fighting some flashbacks because it was big noises coming, and I was like, it just reminded me of the shotguns. It's just the thing that I have to deal with all my life now.
The effects of the terror attack impacting everyone and those recovering from the harrowing ordeal. Holly Karen, News Hub.
Thousands of Kiwis have attended vigils around the country overnight and today, and one is underway right now at Wellington's Bankstown Reserve. Sam Farrell is there. Sam, what's happening there?
Well, Melissa, the thousands of people have poured into Wellington's Bankstown Reserve tonight for this vigil. We turned up just before 5 o'clock. People were already queuing up outside. Inside is absolutely chocker, right to capacity. And this is not the only vigil which is happening around the country over the last week and tonight either.
New Zealanders all over the country coming together in solidarity. This vigil took place in Palmerston North last night. Thousands attended.
How can I be frightened when every New Zealander is standing with me shoulder to shoulder?
Among those present, Immigration Minister Ian Lees-Galloway offering his condolences.
It was an act of violence perpetrated against our Muslim community, a group of people who were peacefully celebrating their faith and joining together as a community.
And not even the early hours of Sunday morning could stop some from paying tribute in Auckland's Aotea Square. Meanwhile, the mosque in Wellington's Kilbirnie suburb was inundated with bouquets of flowers and cards. So much so, there's now a local flower shortage.
In my 17 years of florist industry, this was the busiest day. So that shows the solidarity of the New Zealanders.
There were so many people wanting to pay tribute in Wellington that a vigil had to be moved from Civic Square to the Basin Reserve after generating so much interest. Those who organised it say it comes as no surprise.
We want to make sure that we now stand up and we stick together to support the Muslim community, and we say we will not ever give anything to racism.
In Auckland's inner city suburb of Ponsonby, Christians and Muslims have come together to pray and share songs. A nation wounded by terrorism, but still standing as one.
And tonight, attendees here will be hearing from a range of different speakers. We've already heard from the Mayor, Justin Lester. At the moment, we'll be hearing from the Muslim community as well, and the Governor-General of New Zealand.
Thank you. Several countries around the world are now launching probes into Brenton Town.
Born in Australia, he travelled the world leading an online trail that intelligence services are now using to work out where he was and who he spoke to. Lisa Kramer reports.
Brenton Tarrant spent years of his life on a backpacking odyssey. Born in Australia, he left soon after his father died in late 2010, quitting his job at the gym where he'd worked for around 3 years. He left because he had a desire to travel. In 2013, he visited parts of Europe and Asia. This photo of Tarrant in North Korea, also suspected to have been taken in 2013. 3 years later, he was in Turkey.
Police are speculating that he could have been searching for future targets in Turkey while he was here.
The first trip in March 2016, caught here on CCTV at the airport. His second trip was longer, starting in September. Turkish intelligence say they are investigating whether he had plans to assassinate Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. He spoke from a local memorial tonight saying, his connections are being examined. We will find them out.
There's a lot of CCTV footage that is going to be looked over and reviewed to see where this man went while he was here.
Tarrant then travelled to Serbia, Bosnia and Montenegro before staying in Croatia until early 2017. The Prime Minister confirming Tarrant was not known to authorities until yesterday, but security services are now looking into his movements. 2017 also marks the year Tarrant moved to Dunedin, but he left during
spring travelling to France, Spain and Portugal, where it's believed he visited battle sites from the Crusades. Last year, the 28-year-old headed to Pakistan for the first time. On the 23rd of October, this photo of Tarrant was posted by his hotel manager during his stay there. The caption describes Pakistan as an incredible place, filled with the most earnest, kind-hearted and hospitable people in the world. Tarrant flew from Dubai to land in Bulgaria in November, where he visited historical sites. Prosecutors there now also launching an investigation, saying so far it seems he was mainly interested in the battles between Christians and the Ottoman army. Tarrant then flew to Romania and drove on to Hungary. His exact movements in the months following are unclear. Lisette Raymer, News Hub.
Well, as we learnt today, the death toll has now risen to 50. That was after the body of another victim was found at the Al-Noor Mosque on Deans Avenue. 42 people have died there, as well as 7 at the Linwood Mosque and 1 person at Christchurch Hospital. Well, the worshippers had come to the 2 mosques from right across the world, including Somalia, Fiji, Syria and Pakistan. And as Isabel Ewing reports, we're now starting to hear from some of the grieving families who are overseas.
A father mourning the loss of his only son. 27-year-old Saeed Arif Ahmed had just got a job in New Zealand as an accountant at PwC, earning money to support his family. They've gathered outside his family home in Pakistan. Here, Saeed's uncle shows a photo of him. He says he would pray 5 times a day. Education had always remained his first priority. He had only started his career. Saeed is among the at least 6, possibly 9 Pakistanis confirmed dead. The 3 unconfirmed are a family. 2 others are Naeem Rashid and his 21-year-old son Tala Naeem. His family are mourning too. Naeem's uncle says he was a bold and brave man. Many people are claiming they were saved by Naeem. He pushed the suspect and that moment the shooting stopped. Later, he pushed Naeem down and shot him.
We pray, O Lord, for peace and strength for grieving families.
In Fiji, there was a vigil for the dead. 3 Fijians were among them. Hafiz Musa Patel had just retired as Imam of the Lautoka Mosque after 25 years. He left Fiji 3 weeks ago to spend time with his children in Australia. He was visiting Christchurch, staying with friends. The Fiji Muslim League released a statement saying he served selflessly as Imam, teacher, mentor and was a powerful orator. He leaves behind a beloved wife, 3 daughters and 2 sons. I spoke with a member of the Auckland Fijian Muslim community today and he confirmed that 2 other Fijian men had died, both of them called Ashraf Ali. One had lived here for 18 years and the other just visiting. He also said his friend's son had been shot in the leg but survived, and he said he's still getting his head around how this could have happened here. Isabel Ewing, News Hub.
A crowd gathered in Dunedin's Student Quarter this afternoon as the city's sole mosque reopened. The decision followed meetings involving police and civic leaders aimed at giving assurances of safety to the Muslim community. Representatives from the university, local runanga and the wider community joined together in a show of support and compassion. Mosque leaders thanked Dunedinites for their encouragement, saying, "We are all New Zealanders."
The Australian Prime Minister has suggested the full force of the law should apply to Senator Fraser Anning after he punched a 17-year-old boy who egged him in Melbourne.
New Zealand has welcomed condemnation of the independent Queensland senator after he blamed the terror attack on Muslim immigration. Australia correspondent Connor Whitten reports.
At the gates of the New Zealand High Commission in Canberra, a Trans-Tasman tribute for a neighbour in need. But Australia's grief is now turning to anger after Queensland Senator Fraser Anning blamed Muslim immigration for the Christchurch attacks.
These sort of things happen when people are getting attacked in their own...
A 17-year-old armed with an egg took exception. Anning struck the teenager twice. He was pounced on by Anning's far-right supporters who performed what they called a citizen's arrest. The senator's take on the Christchurch atrocity caused outrage across the world. In a since deleted tweet, Anning said the real cause of bloodshed on New Zealand's streets today is the immigration program that allowed Muslim fanatics to migrate to New Zealand in the first place. Comments slammed by the Australian public and his fellow politicians alike.
These comments are appalling and they're ugly, and they have no place in Australia.
But he isn't the only controversial commentator making such claims. Milo Yiannopoulos, the far-right firebrand, called Islam a barbaric and alien culture in the wake of the Christchurch attacks. He's just been banned from entering Australia, a country standing by its neighbour's side.
The outpouring of support and sympathy and solidarity, affection and acts of kindness from our Australian mates has been just fantastic.
And despite the views of a misplaced minority, Australia's support is clear to see. The Silver Fern shining across Sydney Harbour, a beacon of light for our darkest day.
And that spirit of solidarity continues this evening with multiple rallies being held across Sydney. This one outside the New Zealand consulate where hundreds, if not 1,000...
Up there for New... Compassionate fares to immediate fact.
We have to leave him well.
You're allowed to go trick-or-treating at our stupid building.
It's a magic house.
One family's journey
Okay, so there, you going.
to overcome their grief.
Gotcha.
Oh, what was on
The Hamilton ticket.
Gasly goes into turn one. He is within touching distance of the rear wing of Danny Kvyat. A little wobble there. Going through turn two. Is he going to get interested, Gasly, once again? No. See, Kvyat getting held up by Stroll. And that's giving Gasly a bit of a chance, but he just can't thread away through the young Frenchman.
Yeah, that, when he came out the pits, when he was up the inside of Danny Kvyat, you could see he should have maybe just been a bit more aggressive, and the screen is lighting up at the moment. 3 purple sectors, each of the sectors all taken by different drivers at the moment though.
So, Valtteri Bottas is going for the fastest lap once again. Max Verstappen holds it at the moment. Pierre Gasly can't get past. And the Toro Rosso of Danny Kvyat. Crucially, Verstappen is now with... He can complete the lap. The pace is going at the moment. Needs to be within 1 second, and he is very much within 1 second. Out in front, Valtteri Bottas going for the fastest lap. Ahead of him. He can go and do that. Verstappen wants to get an extra 3 points for getting past Lewis Hamilton, and we're watching Hülkenberg from Raikkonen, from Lance Stroll, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and a really tight epic battle in the midfield. Places as well as Bottas does get the new fastest lap, and we set the final lap, start the final lap of this race for Valtteri Bottas. This has been a brilliant Australian Grand Prix. He couldn't have wished for a better race.
I don't think we could have expected the gap between two teammates to have been as big as this. I mean, I don't remember the last time we saw Hamilton get beat fair and square by 21 seconds. You heard him fragile on the radio as well. Bottas has went away. He reset what he had to do and come back to the Melbourne Grand Prix, and to start the year like this, it could be a dream come true.
I promise you I'm not getting ahead of myself, but every time a team has finished 1-2 in the first race of the season, the team has gone on to win the Constructors' Championship, and the driver who's won that race has gone on to win the World Championship. But this will mean the world for Valtteri Bottas this afternoon. He's a man who started well last year but just didn't get the luck. Could have won in China, of course. Could have gone one in Baku where he suffered that puncture when he was leading the race. He's refreshed himself over the winter after a disappointing end to the campaign. He got 7 second places during the course of 2018. He was second on the grid to Lewis Hamilton at the start of the Australian Grand Prix. But when he sees the checkered flag, he knows that he's the number 1 in Albert Park today. It's Valtteri Bottas who wins the Australian Grand Prix, and he wins it by a distance. Lewis Hamilton battling away with Max Verstappen for second place. That scrap is still going on as they reach the penultimate corner. Sebastian Vettel ahead of Charles Leclerc by around about 5 seconds at the moment, and we'll see Hamilton cross the line as once again from pole position, it's only second for the 4th consecutive year. Hamilton finishes runner-up in Australia, and Max Verstappen for the first time ever will stand on the podium at Albert Park. What a day for Mercedes, what a day for Bottas.
There's only going to be one person in the Mercedes team that probably didn't want to see Bottas win, and that was Esteban Ocon, because he knows that's the day he's fighting for. But everybody else will be ecstatic. I mean, to go away, reset in the winter, and come back and dominate the Grand Prix.
Yeah. Wildlife success.
It takes a little bump, but of course, if I put any punches in them, there's a chance of damaging the egg, so you want to be as careful as you can.
These precious eggs developed in their mother's body for 8 months, a gestation period almost 3 times as long as most reptiles. The cool New Zealand climate forces the young to shelter in their egg for as long as 16 months. It's the longest incubation period observed in a reptile.
So I just write a little number on them for record, and also this way I know which way it's up. It shouldn't be turned or moved too much.
Though Tuatara can lay up to 19 eggs at a time, it'll be at least 2 years before this female will be ready to lay again.
It really is like you're digging up treasure, isn't it?
Today the team has recovered 10 eggs.
It's big today. Do you think this is holding 200 million years of history?
Oh, it can be yours.
Your color, no matter, where you're from, the color of your skin, everybody.
People, but points out their ethos is completely different to the Christian Crusades. Their organisation sports the rainbow tip for being inclusive.
This organisation stands for more than what that name is, and it has always stood for supporting our community, doing stuff for our community.
Mansbridge also acknowledges they could exercise their principles under a different name.
You make a fair point.
Ross, we understand the Christchurch Mayor's Office also wants to get involved.
That's right, Leanne Dalzell wants to be involved in the discussions with the Crusaders and the New Zealand Rugby Union, and I've received a press release from the Crusaders in the last hour. They say they will also involve the Muslim community. Now, they reiterate that they consider their name to be a reflection of the crusading spirit of their region, and there's plenty of support from people online for that sentiment, but also on the other side, plenty of people saying, well, it's hard to differentiate between the imagery and the Crusaders when you consider the men on the horsebacks.
Ross, thank you.
It's a bloody
well, we'd just like to take another moment to remember.
That's enough. It's getting out of hand.
School mascot by day, but by night, I am also a school mascot.
So, what's your major?
No, I'm not a student, though I am a major science enthusiast. I've been trying to get Honey to develop a formula that can turn me into a fire-breathing lizard at will. But she says that's not science.
It's really not.
Yeah, and I guess the shrink ray I asked Wasabi for isn't science either, is it?
Nope.
Well then, what about invisible sandwich? Hero, imagine eating a sandwich, but everybody just thinks you're crazy. Just stop. Laser eyes? Tinkly fingers? Never gonna...
So, what have you been working on?
I'll show you.
Duct tape. Hate to break it to you, bro. Already been invented. Hey. Ow! Dude! Ow!
This is what I've been working on.
healthcare companion. I was alerted to the need for medical attention when you said, ow.
A robotic nurse.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your pain? Physical or emotional? I will scan you now. Scan complete. You have a slight epidermal abrasion on your forearm. I suggest an antibacterial spray.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's in the spray specifically?
The primary ingredient is bacitracin.
It's a bummer. I'm actually allergic to that.
You are not allergic to bacitracin. You do have a mild allergy to peanuts.
Not bad. You've done some serious coding on this thing, huh?
Uh-huh. Programming with over 10,000 medical procedures. This chip is what makes Baymax Baymax.
Vinyl?
Yeah, going for a non-threatening, huggable kind of thing.
Looks like a walking marsh.
What?
Where is the first place?
Oh, you want to watch that?
You're watching.
That's alright. It's not a movie, it's a serial.
Not a movie?
No, it's a serial.
Why?
Too late. I've already pressed turn it off again. Do you watch Married with First Sight every week? Yeah.
Like I said, I couldn't fault Tyrell this week, but...
Well, this is that funny,
she's really put a lot on the line to try and show me that she's changing. There's still something there, so we're still just going to keep writing it out and try and take each day at a time, so I've decided to stay.
I think it's great. I think it's a good sign. So from where we're sitting, Cyril, you picked the ball up and you ran with it, and we're proud of you for that. When you've had that breach of trust and it's kind of blown up, what you've got to do now is essentially repair. And that's what you were doing. Cyril, keep doing it. Put in the grand gestures, showing your life with the family. And Nick, just try and suspend your judgment right now and just be as present as you can and look at her actions. Because that's going to tell you how much she wants this.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get our next couple up onto the couch.
Ooh. They don't look very happy, Lola.
Ning and Mark.
I feel like my biggest concern with the future with Mark is I have 3 children and a dog, and I don't 100% believe that he's ready to do this.
Great. Well, who's going to kick it off?
This guy.
Homestay was actually really good for both of us. I
think when Ning walked into my unit, I think she got a very good idea very quickly about how super duper single I was coming into this experiment. I think shit itself was probably the right word to use. Just with the limited availability of any appliances and kitchenware, so that was a bit of an eye-opener.
I was a little bit freaked out about, like, no kettle. There's nothing in the pantry, like, it was like he just moved in there. So when he was trying to make me breakfast, it was quite hard because there's no pot. But he had a microwave.
She did use the best plastic cup in the house.
The only plastic cup. The only plastic cup.
So I did roll out the red carpet for her. Like, you know, like, the VIP treatment for the best. But look, what I wanted to do with this home visit was probably show Melbourne off. Ning's never been to Melbourne, apart from the couple of days she was there for the wedding, so I sort of wanted to sell her Melbourne if the opportunity arose for her to move down. So it started to open up a few deeper questions. I guess it just exposed both of us to the elephant in the room that we've been putting aside for the past 2 or 3 weeks. If we get through this experiment, one of us, or both of us, would have to make some changes in our lives to accommodate the other person.
I just felt like, you know, the homestay was really nice. He explained that there was lots of things for him to do, like being super single, pubs, clubs, you know, but, you know, I've got 3 children, so I just don't know that if, you know, you're going to be okay to change because you've lived with single man's life for, you know, 42 years. So, yeah, I just don't know how that's going to go. And, you know, I probably should stop thinking about the next chapter and the next whatever, but it's coming up close and you can't not think about it. I don't really know. I really don't know.
All right, guys. Well, it is that time. We are going to find out whether you're going to stay or leave. I'm going to go with you first, Mark.
I'm actually really looking forward to going to Ning's homestay. I'm hoping to learn a lot more about Ning through a family and the people that she's confided for a long period of time. I feel that might be the clincher for us moving